Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're back with another little tutorial on how you guys need to be going about entering teams, players, so on and so forth into the splash1gaming.com website for SATAL. So let's jump in and look at where we're going to go from here. So right now I'm logged in as my user, Moltar, who is attached to the 64th Aggressors Squadron. And if we jump over and look at players, which you guys should all be able to view, you'll see Cripps did an excellent job inputting all of the players. He's got a name, their board number, which if your teams have board numbers, feel free to add them under the number. We do. I think it makes it a lot. I think it's pretty cool. So if you guys don't use board numbers now, I think it's an awesome thing to have. It gives each pilot his own sense of identity, and it makes it really easy to see who's in what aircraft as you're taxiing, or if you're flying formation, you can see that's so-and-so's board number. I know exactly who that is. Like if I see a 37, I know that's Rage. If I see, let's say, a 34 or a 54, I know that's X-Men and Yaga. So really cool little feature. If you guys aren't using board numbers, I really suggest you do it. But you can also see that Cripps has put in their positions. You can have multiple positions. So in this case, I want to see which aircraft that pilot is competent in that he may utilize for competition. Their teams along with past teams. So we can see that Cripps was on the 64th Aggressors, or is on the 64th Aggressors and was on Reservoirs Elite. Tau Hermit was on the Paddle Pushers. For me, it would actually, for all these guys, we should put 51st under 64th, and then I would be on RVE as well. Leagues. So leagues, you can leave it how it is, but what I'd like to see is, like we do with the teams, every league that pilot has participated in the past. So in this case, Cripps would need to update for the 2019 Diamond League, for the 2018 SATAL League, and actually there's nothing on this website for 2017, so we would just add that to the season. And the same goes for the season. So Cripps has actually updated the seasons that the pilot has partaken in, but not the particular leagues. So we want to make sure that we update the league for that season. And that may change. I may just put it all into one league. That's probably a better way to go. I'll just put it into get rid of the 2020 and just make it Diamond League. It's probably what I'm going to do. But as we're here looking at the players, I don't know whose these are, but I'm going to use this as an example. So whoever you are, you put these in. I'm not picking on you. I'm just using it as an example. This is what can happen when you don't put in this information. So whoever this is didn't put the team in, and therefore they show up for everybody. So I'm only supposed to be seeing the 64th teams, but because there's no team associated with these 5 pilots, they actually show up for everyone. So it's really important that you fill out all of these columns with as much information as possible. On top of that, something I'd also like to point out is that it's also really important that we try and use aliases and not real names. So for all of us up here, my real name's Ryan, but I don't fly by Ryan. I fly under the alias of Moltar. And I just want to make sure that everybody's using their alias and not their real name. So whatever your alias is or your call sign is in DCS, that's the name that I want to see here on this website. So when you created the user for the website to log in and edit this stuff, that was probably your real name, but that's not what we want to use here when we're inputting players. We want to use the alias. Okay, so moving on, the new thing that I wanted to show you, a couple new things, is I want people to start adding logos. Now, you can either add your team logo, which most of them have already been put in here. So you would go down, you would come into the edit player, and then on the far right, you would come down here to photo, and then we'll click the photo button. And I've gone through and removed a lot of the crappy photos that didn't need to be here, but I want you guys to come in and find your logo and put it for each pilot. This is going to give more of a sense of uniformity and stuff when we're looking at the website, and it's going to provide people an easy way to know what team that pilot flies for when they're looking at pilot galleries, so on and so forth. And it's just a cool little thing that we want to do. Most of these logos are already sized. Some of them are the wrong size as you get down here. So I want to make sure that you guys use the correct logos. You want to use logos that are 300 by 300. I've already resized them. Your logo should be in here. If you don't see your logo, please let me know, and I will get it uploaded. If you have not given me a logo, please send it to me on Discord. So in this particular case, we're going to pick the 64th Aggressors logo. We're going to hit Select Photo, and it's going to show up here in the bottom right corner. So now Cripps is going to be associated with the 64th Aggressors image. So if we jump back into the player list and we come back and look at Cripps, he's now got the logo. So if we went and looked at his permalink, which is right here, which is actually the link is going to take you to the page that gives you all the pilot information, you can see that his pilot logo is now here. So this is going to be the page that's going to show all of that person's statistics, their nationality, their current teams, their past teams, everything about that pilot, their career stats, and that'll be updated over the years. All of that is going to be here. So again, the more information you can put in here, the better we're going to be able to do. And I'm going to remove birthday and age because that's really not pertinent. But again, the more information we can get, the better this is going to look, and the cooler it's going to be for spectators and other competitors to be able to go back in and look at what everybody has. So that's one thing that I wanted to showcase. The other thing is player lists. So player lists are what is going to allow you to see team rosters. They're also what's going to allow us to view pilot rankings throughout the season, so how different pilots are doing, who's flying the best throughout the year in each particular league, so on and so forth. So I've deleted all of the pilot lists, all the old ones, so you shouldn't see any old ones. But if we jump in here and look at pilot lists, you guys now have the ability, or will have the ability, to add these. So what I've done is I've moved everybody from a staff role to a team manager role. Now, this comes with some trust coming from me with you guys, in that the stuff that you guys are going to be updating, it's no longer going to be asking for approval. It's just when you do it, it's going to publish it. So what I would like you guys to make sure that you're doing is double check your work. Obviously, the information that you're putting in is really only going to affect your team, but we want to make this as professional as possible. So just be aware that we want to make everything look the same. And if anybody wants an example, the 64th, since that's the team that I fly with, is a pretty good example of how I want things to look. So player lists. You're going to add a new player list. We're going to call it your team name. So in this case, we're going to call it 64th Aggressors Roster. And it's really important to add roster at the end of that. I need to spell right. So Aggressors Roster. So your team name, 64th Aggressors Roster. And that's so that we know what that team list actually is. I will create the team list for the actual pilot rankings, but we need one for each individual team. So number 15 needs one. TAW needs one. TAW Wolfpack needs one. TFT needs one. TFS needs one. Everybody needs a roster. So I need everyone to come in here and create a roster. So you're going to put team name, then roster, and make sure everything's capitalized, so on and so forth, to make it look nice and pretty. Because, again, this isn't going to get submitted for approval. When you hit publish, it's going to publish to the website. So this is really important. So you've given the roster a name. Then we're going to come down and we're going to give the information that we want. So we're going to select all because we want rounds played, kills, and deaths. So these are the individual statistics that we're going to track for the particular pilot. So we're going to know how many rounds each pilot's flown, how many kills that pilot has, and how many deaths that pilot has. And this is all going to be tracked, and you're going to be able to input all of this information. You'll see later as I do another one of these videos, you're going to be able to input all of this information on the events pages for each individual matchup or event that you guys fly against another team. So that's what this is going to be. We're going to do all leagues, all seasons, and all positions. So we can limit this to we probably should. We'll just do this. So input the season. We're going to do the 2020 season. And then the league, we're going to do the 2020 leagues. So I'm not going to get rid of that list that we talked about, or that league earlier. So you guys are going to want to input all of the league information, as many leagues as that pilot's flown in. So in this particular case, we're going to do the Squadron Air-to-Air League 2020 Diamond, which is the league that is coming up this year. The season's going to be 2020. Positions don't matter. The team, you're going to select your team. Do not select any other team. You're going to select your team. So in this case, it's going to be the 64th Aggressors. We've gone ahead and selected that. Nationality, we're going to leave that blank. Grouping, we're not going to do any grouping. Sort by, you can sort by any means that you want. That's really going to be up to you guys for what way you want to sort. I'll leave that up to you guys for now. If we deem that we need to change that, we'll change it. But right now, I'll leave that up to you guys. We're going to sort it by squad number. And then sort order, we're going to do it ascending. Players, auto. So the players, what this means is that it's going to take every player that is associated with your particular team. So if you have 20 players associated with, let's say, number 15, it's going to take all of those players that you've assigned to that team and that are in this particular season and league, and it's going to put them into that player list. Okay, so if we then go up and hit publish, it's going to update this list, and we'll see everything populate here. So now it's gone through and it's added everybody that's associated with that team. And you can see that Cripps' logo actually shows up. And you guys can use, I should have said this earlier, you can use either logos, or if you want to do team photos, I'm fine with that too. Just do them at 300 by 300, and make sure if you do a team photo, it takes up the entire 300 by 300 square. The logos I've sized so that they're all the same, but if you do a team photo or actual headshots, just do the whole thing. But if you guys aren't going to do that, just use the team logo. So you can see that it populated everything. Rounds, kills, and deaths. You guys do not need to update this list. These fields will be updated automatically from the events. So you do not need to touch anything in here. If you start screwing with this stuff, it's going to break the stats, and it's not going to tally correctly. So just leave these alone. If you notice an anomaly or something that needs changed, please come and contact me. But everything should be able to be selected and stuff through the events. And when we get closer and I actually publish the events, you guys, I'll release another video and we'll be able to see that from that point. But these are the player lists. So now if we go to the team, so this has been published. Now if we go back to the team, so if we go to teams, we go to the 64th aggressors. Thought it would publish a roster, but it didn't. I think I need to tell it to publish a roster. So if we go back, I'm learning along with you guys in this. And we go to 64th aggressors roster. So now we can see the roster with everybody's nationality. You can see that Cripps' logo's there, but if you don't have everybody's logo, it just starts looking a bit funky. And it's limited to 10 per page. I'm going to increase that here in the next day or two just so that the continuity, so everybody can show up on the same page. But it's going to publish everybody's rounds played, kills, and deaths for the actual rosters. There's going to be more information that's published outside of that. There's Theme Boy or Sports Press, which is what this program is, keeps track of a lot of other statistics per player, but for the roster, this is going to be the only thing that it shows. So just be aware that that's all it's going to show here, but on the actual rankings and stuff, we're going to be able to keep track of a lot more statistics. But what we need to have is these player lists actually published so that we can actually keep track of player rosters. So again, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to send me a message on Discord. There are several teams that still need to come in and log in and create their pilots or start adding their pilots and then come back in and add their pilot lists. So if you guys have already added your pilots, go ahead and log back in, create your pilot list. It'll only take a few minutes. It's just a few clicks and you guys should be good to go. But the more information, like I've said earlier, that we can get put in here, the better the site's going to look and the more usable it's going to be for everybody, not just the teams, but for the public tracking these events as well. So that's all I got. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, have a good one, and I'll see you guys next time.